Coffee with Coach. Okay, iced coffee with Coach. It's summertime. What do you want? Does your church have too much money? Probably not. Part of the problem is that most churches and pastors don't know how to ask for money. I have 5 essential principles about asking for money that will make a big difference in your next campaign. Stick around, and I'll tell you how to ask for money today on Iced Coffee with Coach. I'm Steve Petty, and I have 3 goals for these videos: to help you become a better pastor and leader, to save you time and money, and to help educate, motivate, and energize you to motivate and energize your church. If you find these videos helpful, I hope you'll subscribe to my channel. You can do that, you click the little box over there. And if you have questions or comments, you can add them below, or you can email me at steve@revstevep.com. So this is the second in a 5-part series about church finances. Last week I talked about the finance committee, taming the finance committee. This week I want to talk about asking for money. Churches generally don't do a very good job of asking for money. We're kind of shy about it. We hear all the time, all that the church does is ask me for money. Well, actually no, we do a lot more than that. But once or twice a year, we ask for money. We ask for special offerings. We ask for a tithe. We ask people to make a pledge. So how do we ask? I have 5 key principles that I use whenever I design a finance campaign, and I'm going to talk about those today. I have high-tech graphics. Are you ready? 5 key principles that you should be aware of when you ask people for money. Don't ask people to give to the budget. It's not the reason they're giving. They're giving because people have a need to help other people. You remember from your psychology classes, Maslow's hierarchy of needs, and that pyramid that listed at the very, very top, self-actualization. Maslow was convinced that that was the top thing in our hierarchy of needs. We needed to be self-actualized. But later in life, Maslow realized that that was not it at all. He published a second pyramid, which isn't as widely talked about. But in the second pyramid, he said the pinnacle, the highest need, is a need to help other people. We fulfill our highest need when we're helping other people. That's what you need to ask people to do. Not to give to your budget, but to give to the church so that the church can help other people. This is a self-actualizing gift. It benefits the giver more than it benefits the receiver. So ask people to give to help other people. It's an essential part of being human. It's part of our needs. We have a need to give. Second, do ask people to tithe. It's the only standard in the Bible. Every time I have a new member class, somebody would always ask, what do you expect us to give? And I would say, well, I'm sorry to tell you, but there's only one standard in the Bible, and that's a tithe. A tithe is 10% of your income. Now, you get to decide what 10% is. You can decide that 10% is 10% of your adjusted gross income, or it can be 10% of your net income, or it could be 10% of your take-home check. Whatever you want to decide, whatever you and God are comfortable with, tithe 10%. It's biblical. God will reward a tithe. It says so in the Bible many, many times. So if people can tithe, there are spiritual benefits that come to them from giving that tithe. Kind of like Maslow said, it's part of our hierarchy of needs. But there are other spiritual benefits. God says if you tithe and you're faithful, I will be faithful to you with more gifts, even more gifts. So encourage people to tithe. One way to talk about tithing is to say, well, think of it this way. All that you have from God is in your hands. God gave it to you. Everything you had is a gift from God. God wants you to keep 90% of that. That's a pretty high percentage. 90% of it is yours to do with as you please. But the tithe belongs to God. Don't steal from God. Don't cheat God. Give God the tithe. And all the rest of the things will fall into place. Preach tithing. Don't apologize for it. It's biblical. Preach tithing. You will find over time that more and more people will tithe. And as more and more people will tithe, more and more people will talk about the benefits that have come to them from tithing. And as more and more people do that, more and more people in the congregation will come to the point that they realize they need to be tithing too. Ask people to tithe. Third, invite people to give to a vision of the future. Every campaign needs a visionary statement. It needs to paint a picture of a better world that you're going to be building because of the money that they give. People need to know that the money that they give is going for some compassionate need. So what's that vision? What's the future you're painting? Explain it well. Draw the picture beautifully. Help them to see with excitement what new thing is coming. If you do that, and they can see it clearly, they will support it with their gifts, generously, eagerly, with a sense of anticipation and excitement. So your finance campaign can build energy as well as money. Give to a vision of the future. It'll make a huge difference. Fourth, you can ask people to give out of a sense of legacy. Do you want to have a legacy of being a generous person? Or do you want to have a legacy of being a stingy person? There's a lot of people who collect and keep and hoard. And at the end of their lives, how many people stand up and say, they were so generous and loving and giving? Not many. Of course, no one's likely to stand up and say, they were a stingy skinflint. They never gave anything. No, they'll just keep silent. But in their minds, they know this was not a generous, giving person. We feel kindness in our hearts, and we feel appreciation for those people in our lives who have been generous with us. They have given us of their time. Maybe they gave us a loan. Maybe they helped us in a difficult point in our lives. Maybe they gave us a job. Maybe they gave us advice. But people who give to us are remembered. It is their legacy that they were generous, caring, loving people. What's your legacy? Encourage your congregation to think about, what is your legacy? How will you be remembered? Will you be remembered as a generous person or a stingy person? Think about it. Do ask people to give more than they gave last year. Now, if you've been encouraging tithing and some people can't tithe, you might have encouraged them to do proportional giving. Maybe they start tithing by giving just 1%. That's great. Then the next year, can they give 1.5%? Maybe they can jump all the way to 2%. Maybe they can go to 3%. But can they increase their pledge? Ask everyone every year to increase their pledge. You don't have to ask tithers to increase their pledge. They're already giving 10%. But ask everyone else who's not yet tithing if they can't move up a little bit closer to tithing. Ask them to increase. I never will forget the very first church I served. A woman came up to me and she said, I've been giving 50 cents a week since I went to Sunday school, and that's what I'm going to give. I said, if that's what you're happy giving, God will be happy to receive it. But I thought to myself, goodness gracious, she's 78 years old, and she's still giving what she gave in Sunday school when she was 6. Not a generous person. Not a legacy. And certainly not somebody who's been stretched or encouraged over the years to give more. Encourage people to give more. Help them to understand that God has blessed them more this year, that they have received even more blessings, and that maybe, just maybe, God expects more of them. Ask for money. Don't be shy. Ask out of deep theological reasons, not out of your budget. No one in your church needs to give to your budget. They need to give to God. No one in your church needs to give to put on a roof. They need to help somebody in a time of trouble. No one in your church needs to give to make sure the lights are on. They need to give to make sure that the Sunday school is filled with loving teachers. Give to the ministries and the love of people. Give out of a love for God and all that God has done for you. Ask people to give, and they'll give. And if you ask them well, they'll give generously. I hope you liked that video, and you now know how to ask for money. And if you like these videos in general, you can subscribe to my channel. I'd love to have you do that. Next week, I'm going to be talking about how to build a budget. A lot of church pastors never have really built a budget. So we'll talk about that next week on Coffee with Coach. See you then.